Ambiguity is one of the key concepts in statutory interpretation. If the words of the Parliament are clear, taking into account the Parliament's purpose, then the court must give effect to those words, unless that would produce an absurd result. At what point will the court form the view that legislative language is sufficiently ambiguous that the court should take a more expansive approach to the interpretation of that language? Often, this will not be a practical issue. If the statutory language is not ambiguous, then it's unlikely there will be a dispute at all. So it's less likely the court will be required to interpret the statute. So maybe there is an inherent ambiguity any time that the court is asked to interpret statute. This is, of course, not nearly precise enough for the law's purposes. In this case, there was a dispute between the Vietnam Veterans Association of Australia and the Commonwealth Repatriation Commission, a government agency within the Department of Veterans Affairs. The Commission is meant to provide veterans with support in relation to harm they suffer during their military service. In reality, there are often conflicts between veterans and the Commission spends a great deal of time and effort denying benefits to veterans. On this occasion, new evidence seemed to indicate that a number of medical conditions were likely to be related to military service. In the legislation, when evidence of this type came to hand, the Commission was required to establish a statement of principles, setting out the circumstances in which the Commission would accept that veterans suffering from that medical condition suffered as a result of their military service. There was a dispute about the standard of evidence required in order to trigger this process. The court had to consider whether this dispute was based on ambiguity in the statute. Chief Justice Spiegelman described the concept of ambiguity in these terms. The use of the word ambiguity in the context of statutory interpretation is not restricted to lexical or verbal ambiguity and syntactic or grammatical ambiguity. It extends to circumstances in which the intention of the legislature is, for whatever reason, doubtful. From this case, we learn that in statutory interpretation, statute is regarded as ambiguous in any circumstances in which the intention of the legislature is not entirely clear from the words of the statute.